Black Swan is my absolute favorite movie in the entire world. And I'm not kidding. Like, I've seen this movie 10 times. I've seen it 10 times, and actually, I need to see it way more times. I can't get enough of it. Every single time I watch this movie, I discover something new. And like, no other movie does that for me. There's something so special about it that I just can't help it. I need to keep watching it over and over again. As you can see, absolutely wonderful. One of my favorite things about this film is its capacity to convey themes in visual forms, like symbolism, foreshadowing. Like, I don't know if this is just because it's a it's appealing to the English major within me, but it's just so good. Oh my god, it's just a masterpiece. It's so well thought out, and I love it. I just wanted to share with you guys my favorite things about it, specifically how Black Swan discusses perfection and what it really means to be perfect. Because it's it's just good. It's just so good. Black Swan follows the journey of a ballerina who is obsessed with perfection and her pursuit of achieving it. And along the way, that idea of perfection shifts, it changes. The ballerina is Nina Sayers, and she's played by Natalie Portman. Awesome. And she basically is a very sheltered person. She's very much aligned with the White Swan, as her director Tomas says to her.
I was only guessing the White Swan should be yours.
And she lands the role as the Swan Queen, which essentially asks the ballerina to perfectly encapsulate both the White Swan and the Black Swan and match both of their energies of being like innocent, delicate, and then like dark and unrelenting, just absolutely like Eva. So after Nina gets this role, she has to discover the Black Swan, otherwise Thomas is going to replace her. He's like, you're replaceable, there's a ton of other dancers that are dying to have your role, so you better do it. So basically the entire film is essentially revolving around the idea of her losing herself, of losing her past self, and discovering what truly lies within her. Now that we got that out of the way, here are some of the themes that I picked up on besides perfection, because you know perfection's like Black Swan's whole point. So other things I've noticed are agency and control, especially between Nina and her mother, her overbearing mother, which we'll get into later. Jealousy, and purity versus impurity, or opposites. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about, the starting point, I suppose, is which we are introduced to in the charity ball scene, where Thomas announces to all of the ballet's donors that Nina is the new star of the show. Because before Nina was Beth, played by Winona Ryder, who absolutely slayed this role. Like, she just did such a wonderful job, because of course she did. And yeah, basically, the world got tired of her. The world was bored of her, and they needed someone new and fresh to bring excitement and customers back to the ballet. And yes, he is basically giving her a debut to the world and showing them that there's something to be excited about again. And her discomfort is very obviously shown through her wardrobe. She has her hair up in like a very tight hairdo, not a single strand out of place, no flyaways. How'd she do that? Would love to know. And her gown, it's white, of course, because right now she's the White Swan, and it's very clean and classy, you know, like there's no frills, there's no like gigantic skirt, it's all just simple. It's like pretty and simple, and she's dressed for the part. She's dressed for the part of what people expect her to be, or at least that's what she thinks right now in her White Swan mind. That, yeah, so while Tama is giving his little speech about her, like, oh, shout out to Beth, she was great, now I got this girl over here, she's gonna slay. Nina looks down at her hand that's holding a champagne glass, and she notices a hangnail. Uh-oh. Hate those. And she looks at it and she's like kind of like picking at it. She's like, uh-oh, an imperfection? Gotta get rid of that. So in the next scene we see her trying to get rid of that, which leads me to one of the first motifs that we see before I even talk about the winged statue, where there were a bunch of like physical manifestations of the Black Swan fighting its way out of Nina through wounds. Like, Nina has this problem with scratching herself, normally over her left shoulder, like that, without even knowing that she does that. And yeah. And so physical wounds convey just like how there's something within her, how she's like, but she's at odds with herself, with this perfect mold that she's currently in. And yeah, the hangnail, this is a really dastardly scene. This is like gruesome, and I can't actually watch it. I can't watch it. I can watch a lot of horrifying things. Like, here's another movie I watched a bunch of times, Terrifier. And if you've ever seen Terrifier, you know that's like, ugh, disgusting. I can watch that perfectly fine, because that is outlandish. This one could happen. Or maybe like not happen, but like it's not like, it's involving a very like common thing, having a hangnail, and just being so dastardly. It's so disgusting. She is in the bathroom, looking at her hangnail under the sink, under the water, and you know, she's trying to tear it off because, you know, imperfection, can't be having that. Starts peeling at it, goes down half of her pointer finger. Ew. It's so nasty. Whenever I watch that scene, I'm like, like I can't watch it. I can't watch it. And so that's nasty. But it is a physical manifestation, like I was saying, which is really cool. The next scene is where we see the statue. It's where we see the statue. And it's a wonderful statue. It's 8 feet. It's 8 feet tall. And it's this figure that is like mostly black with no arms, just wings. Yeah, and its face is really the part that like is exciting, because its face has like a mask over it, a white mask specifically. So obviously we have those two colors, that duality happening between white and black. And it has a mask over it of white, and its eyes are black, its mouth is black, and it's just, and it's such a good visual symbol of like how Nina is just like that, really. How like she has this white mask over herself, that mask of purity, because that's what people want to see from her. But inside there's something more waiting, and it's the darkness. It's the Black Swan. And like the art style of the statue is also really significant because of how it connects to those, what I was saying with like the physical wounds. The white parts, they kind of look like they were like scratched away. They're very jagged, and like it just seems like it's being picked away at. See, it's all connecting. Aren't you so excited about that? So, and then there's another layer to it, because this statue is actually real. It's not just a prop, it's a real piece of art. And it is called The Future Clone by Fritz Skolder, a Native American artist. This piece was actually in the National Museum of the American Indian in New York City, but then it got shipped off to DC and is now there. And they filmed it at the New York City location. And get this, I went to it. But yeah, it's a real figure. It's a real statue, and it's called Future Clone. That is huge because, like, that's foreshadowing. It's a little Easter egg for people who know what the statue is called, that it's real and that Future Clone is its name. Because it's literally her. It's literally her. That's her future. That's her being picked away at to reveal the darkness that's really within her, what she's truly capable of. She's looking at herself. Like when Tama first comes up to her and is like, hey, let's go, let's bounce. She's staring at her at the statue in reflection, and like she has a small smile on her face. It's like she's like connecting with it. It's like she innately knows that this is her. It's her reflection. And it's just like really, it's really cool. I think it's really cool. Yeah, it's just so interesting to see like a physical duality where Nina in her current state, she's still very pure. She's still in that box. She's trying to fit into that box, even if necessarily she doesn't really, but you know, she's trying. And then she's confronted with her future self, her future clone, and she's at peace with it. She seems to be at peace with it with her little smile. It's just, that's her mirror, that's her reflection. And guess what? That perfectly leads me into my next topic of interest. Yeah, get excited because I'm really excited. Mirrors are highly associated with ballerinas and dancers in general, since they have to constantly look at themselves in rehearsal, always analyzing to see if they are perfect, if they're doing all the right moves, if their body looks what is like expected by a ballerina as a dancer, which clearly has added to Nina's obsession with being perfect, where not only does she feel it within her, that desire to be perfect, but like she's constantly thinking about it, both in like her as a person and her behaviors, but then also in her craft. It's so good. So Aronofsky takes this idea, this pre-established notion that dancers have to look in, always are looking in mirrors and analyzing themselves for perfection, and uses it as a narrative device. Mirrors are highly prevalent in the film. Like Nina is surrounded by mirrors so often. Like both in rehearsal, at home, wherever. And what really interests me is that concept of distance. The distance between Nina and her reflection, which by the way, in the script they call it her double. So I'm gonna call it her double too. Yeah. So the distance between Nina and her double, and how it gradually gets smaller and smaller. Yeah. So the way I like to think about it is like two people, these are the people, and they're walking down the sidewalk. At some point, they're going to cross each other. And for a brief moment, they're like, they align, and then they go past each other. That's literally Nina. And there's actually a scene where that actually happens. It's at the beginning, where after the first rehearsal that we see, she is walking down the street and she sees a woman, looks like any woman, just a rando. But as they intersect, it's her double. And she's like, what the hell? What the hell was that? And that was like foreshadowing of like how her current self, the white swan and the black swan, are going to intersect. And then perhaps there will be an imbalance. So yeah, the distance between Nina and her double gets gradually smaller and smaller. At first, they are quite distant, you know, just a normal looking in the mirror, like, you know, whatever. But as the film goes on, they get like closer, and it's almost like her double is gaining consciousness, is like getting its own agency. Another big theme we'll talk about later. And there's like two different scenes I'm thinking of where the double like actually completely deviates from Nina, from the expectations of a mirror, and just does its own thing. Like there's one scene in the rehearsal room, she's dancing, she notices it's out of sync with her, turns around, and her double is just like just being really ominous, and that's crazy. And then another one where she is getting her measurements done for her costume, and her double, she's surrounded by mirrors, she's surrounded by her double. She sees not even double, but multiple. She's seeing her multiples. And it's like overwhelming, and she gets really scared because obviously, especially because it's like doing weird things. So yeah, that distance is getting smaller and smaller. It finally comes to a head when Nina hallucinates killing Lily. As you see, during the first, probably only, performance of Swan Lake, Nina performs the White Swan, has an epic fail in it, falls down, which, you know, points towards the fact that, like, she's not the White Swan anymore. Anyway, so she goes into her dressing room, you know, already quite upset. Walks in, she thinks that she sees Lily there, and she's like, what are you doing? What are you doing in my dressing room? Get out. And believes that Lily is in there getting ready for the Black Swan coda. She shouldn't be doing, because that's not her role. So Nina's like, what are you doing here? Get out. And Lily's like putting on the makeup, and she's like, I'm just a bit concerned. I'm just a bit concerned about the next dance. Then she says, how about I dance the Black Swan for you?
How about I dance the Black Swan for you?
Exactly like that. And Nina is so enraged. She's like, bye. She slams her against the wall. They tussle and tussle. And then Nina pushes Lily into the mirror. The mirror. And the mirror shatters. The barrier. Let me get closer for this. The barrier is broken. She broke the barrier. The double and her are now on the same plane. Because, yes, she's seen the double in the flesh before. But now, there's no longer a barrier there. Now, her reflection and her are one and the same. So Lily, who just transformed into Nina's double, she's on the ground, and first Nina's like, oh my god, I knocked her out, because the double is like... But then, all of a sudden, she's like... and she just goes ham on Nina. She just starts choking her, and she's like, it's my turn. Nina's choking, you know. Then her neck starts to elongate, like a swan's. Gets goosebumps, like a swan's. And it's like it gives her power. And so she reaches down, grabs a mirror shard, because there's a bunch of glass everywhere now, and she stabs her double in the stomach, and she says, it's my turn.
It's my turn.
Black Swan, places in 5.
really huge, really huge. So like not only is the barrier broken, but she is actively killing a piece of herself. She's like killing herself. But she literally does. Like she did like, you know, she killed herself. Spoilers. But yeah, that basically just marks that there is no longer two of her. She is one. She is one and the same. She is the Black Swan. You know? Crazy. So yeah, then like blah blah blah. We discover that she actually did not stab anyone except for herself. She dies. So after stabbing Lily and dragging her body into the closet, she goes on to perform the Black Swan coda flawlessly, which she has never done before. But now she can because she is the Black Swan. She just killed her double, took on that identity. She is the Black Swan now. And that's so huge. Like she transforms on stage. Holy cannoli. And it's just so huge. It's so huge. And it really connects to something that Tomas said in the beginning of the movie, where he said,
The only person standing in your way is you. It's time to let her go.
She lost herself, alright. She literally killed herself. I don't know how else to put that besides bluntly, but even as she lost herself, even as she actively put an end to herself, she also found her true self within her. And this is clear in her dying breaths, where she says,
What?
Just cool, just so epic. So I know I basically just told you the entire movie, but something else we need to discuss. Okay, you may be wondering, why is she bringing it up? Why is she bringing up Erica? We know what happened. Nay. We need to look at how exactly Nina got to where she is now. And that's due to her mother. Her mother is extremely obsessed with Nina. Like, absolutely controlling, overbearing. And that's predominantly it was triggered by her retiring from her own ballet career when she fell pregnant with Nina. Like, she blames Nina for her failed career, and so she's trying to live vicariously through Nina. She like bathes her, she dresses her, she dictates where Nina can go, feeds her, like literally anything that you would do for a baby, she does to Nina. And we see that a lot in the physical space, the set design of their apartment, which I went to as well. We see that in the physical environment that they both live in, which is really the epicenter of the agency theme, because everything involved in Erica and Nina's relationship happens in there. Yeah. So Nina's bedroom, for starters, absolutely childlike. It looks literally exactly like my childhood bedroom, where it's pink, it has stuffed animals, it's like full of like butterflies, flowers, yay, child, hooray, justice. Anyway, she's in her 20s when we see her in this framed narrative, and so like clearly that's not her own doing, because I know that like once I hit like high school, I was like, nah, something's gotta change. But her mother's influence, the way that her mother likes to treat her, influenced her to keep this room as it was when she was a kid, because her mom wants to baby her. Her mom wants to take care of her and all that. And Nina just wants to appease her. She's sheltered and that's all she knows. And so she's kept it that way. And then more in the house. Basically everything is for Nina by her mom. And like, it's nice to have a mom that cares, but like, girl, my goodness. Just you wait. Like in the living room there is an entire like 3-panel mirror with like a dance little flooring for her point shoes. But then the scary one is that her mom has basically an entire art gallery dedicated to her hand painted portraits of Nina. And there's so many of them. There's even a scene where we see her actively painting a portrait of Nina, and she's sobbing her eyes out. It's just like, whoa, that's crazy, girl. You crazy girl. Yeah, just like really everything in that apartment is just like Nina is under someone's control. She's appeasing her mother. She doesn't want to upset her mother. Yeah. So, but there's a specific object in Nina's apartment that I want to talk to you about, and that is the jewelry box. Jewelry box is so significant. It's only, you only see it around the hour and 14-minute mark, but it's a big symbol. After Nina has like this little like freak out at practice, at rehearsal, because she sees Lily dancing the Black Swan's coda after like Nina showed up late due to their clubbing night, and so she comes home, she's in a rage. She puts the jewelry box on her dresser, and she winds it up and starts the box starts playing the Swan Lake theme, the White Swan theme. And she lays over, not facing the box, she's like meh, like that. But then all of a sudden, right when we think like, oh, she's just chilling, she goes like, she turns around really quickly, and she smacks that box off of the table. It clatters and clangs. Not even clatters and clangs. It shablams. It breaks. And she just starts throwing out all of her stuffed animals, just absolutely rejecting that mold that her mother put her in. And like, yeah, it's just like, that scene is a really huge moment where Nina actually starts to realize things, and she realizes that she's not happy in the life that she's led so far, and that something needs to change. This leads to like a big like little argument with her mom that ends in Nina slamming her door closed, and her legs break into like a swan's physicality, into a swan's anatomy, I guess. There's a leg, and all of a sudden it goes like this. And, obviously it throws her off balance, and she falls and slams her head into her bed and blacks out. When she wakes up, the music box is playing, and her mother is there, and her door is locked. Her mom took the doorknob. Crazy. And there's like a focus on the box before shit goes down, and we see that the ballerina has lost everything except for her legs and tutu. She has no arms, no torso, no head. She's spinning around to the tune of Swan Lake, and that's like really huge because it shows that it like directly correlates to Nina, how before that breakdown where she threw out all of like her childish things, she was just a porcelain little figure that danced and acted on someone else's accord, specifically her mother's. Like the box was wound up, if you will, and it just dances whenever the person wants, just does whatever the person wants. Very clearly Nina and her mom. And after Nina has that realization that like things need to change, it's broken, but her mom still tries to wind it up and make her dance again. and follow her directions, which is seen in how her mom calls in sick for Nina, pulls her basically out of the first performance of Swan Lake, and tries to keep her home because she's like, oh, this role is like, I don't even know who you are anymore, it's destroying you. But Nina's not putting up with this anymore. She knows that this life is not for her. She can't be under her mother's thumb anymore. So she freaks out, like attacks her mother, finds the doorknob, where her bone's cracking, pushes her mom out. As she pushes her mom out the door, her mom says,
"Oh, what happened to my sweet girl, huh? She's gone!"
ooh, excellent. And she slams the door on her mother's fingers. Watching that is also tough. It's like, oh, ugh, Yankees. But that scene is really huge because of how it shows that Nina is no longer satisfied in her life, and she needs to lose that part of herself that wants to appease everyone, that does what everyone says. She's ready to put her life in her own hands. So she loses that part of herself, but she has also found a new behavior for her. So by this point, we see that Nina has effectively lost that piece of herself that wants to appease everyone and has found the true self within her where she yearns to be free, and now she's finally acting on that. So this brings me back to my first point. At the beginning of the movie, Nina saw perfection as appeasement, doing whatever people want her to do, trying to be the perfect person for whoever, being a doll, being the perfect dancer, fitting into other people's expectations. But by the end, she realizes that it's the exact opposite, that being perfect is an internal definition, that she can decide who she wants to be, and that freedom that comes with agency is perfection.
Perfection is not just about control. It's also about letting go.
I really see this through considering, I guess, all the scenes in the movie, because in every scene, she's basically acting and behaving with that purpose in mind. She's trying to be the person that everyone thinks she should be. Her mom's little girl, Thomas' little princess, just all that. But there's one scene in the middle of it where we see her actually truly happy, not in like emotional turmoil like we see in rehearsals or whatever. And that scene is the club scene with Lily, where at first she resisted, but then she just let loose. She danced in a club, she made out with random men, she did all sorts of drugs. And, no, that's necessarily like good, but it's free. It's everything that her mom didn't want her to do. And she was truly happy. And the only other time that we saw that form of happiness in Nina was when she was dancing the coda. In both of those scenes, she is living for herself. She's acting for herself. And she loves it. Like, in the coda, like in the performance, when she's doing the White Swan, there's clearly like stress within her. She wants to get this perfect, resulting in her falling because she catches a glimpse of her double. But she fell and messed up the White Swan, which, shows that she's no longer the White Swan anymore. She broke the barrier. She killed that past version of herself. She is the Black Swan now. And after that transformation, after killing that past version of herself, she found that her true happiness, her true perfection is in full liberation. And we see that in her dance, in her coda, where she just performs without any mind for like technique or like, are they gonna like that? Are they gonna like, is it gonna resonate? Will Tama be happy? She just is herself. And you see that through like her confident motions. Like every move is just so confident and sure. And that's only done when through true embodiment of feeling that liberation within her. And the final lines, like I said earlier, of her saying, I felt it, perfect, as she dies, shows that even as she dies, she's happy. She's happy, and she found that perfection that she was looking for. Perfection wasn't to her fitting into the role of the Swan Queen. A dancer that is both pure and impure, like good and evil or anything. Her true perfection lies in liberation. And it's just really cool. I think it's really cool, especially through all of like the ways that Aronofsky and the writers portrayed that. And you know, it all circles back to the beginning scene when Toma was explaining the story of Swan Lake, how he says that the white swan, devastated, jumps off a cliff and dies. And he said, in death she finds freedom. That's Nina. She was unhappy with how her life is going, how she lived for other people. And even as she dies, she knows that she's free. So guys, that's actually all I have.